Robert Rodriguez in the house, man. Super excited to have this guy on. He's going to do a set on Boogie Down Sunday, this Sunday coming up. Really excited for it. It's been kind of like a blowing up, man. There's been a lot of people, a lot of video out there with Boogie Down Sunday. Bandini Made's in charge of doing that, along with myself, DJ Guns and Buns. We're setting up lineups. We're having DJs come out, spinners come out and do their thing, rocking the crowd. And Robert's going to show up and do some Chicano soul, which I'm really looking forward to hearing his set. So yeah, so I'm gonna put some links in the bio here. After the interview's done, people can kind of click on that, reach out to him because he sells records. He also has a page that you could follow as well, and I'm sure he has other things going on. But Dan, thank you so much for doing this, man. Sitting down with me.
No, thank you for inviting. I wasn't, I didn't expect it. So like it was like, we put it together pretty quickly. So it was just, anytime I'm asked to speak about music, man, it's an honor because like I love it, dude. Like I could talk music all day, and I usually do actually. Like people hit me up all day.
Yeah, man, and that's why I like learning about you and just talking to you. Like that's like a really big thing because I love music myself. I mean, I do the DJing stuff and I do some small collecting myself. But I love to talk to someone who's really, really about the music, and has a really good passion for it. It ain't about so much the money. It ain't about the fame. With you, it seems like you just really have a passion for the music, and that goes a long way with me, because it's just like music is just it's life, for myself. I don't get paid millions of dollars to go do Boogie Down Sunday. I don't get paid millions of dollars to do documentaries or edits or anything like that. But I love hearing people's stories, and I love just the music itself. I want to take people back just kind of from the beginning with you and just kind of give them an idea of who you are so that when you do spin at Boogie Down Sunday here with us, they just know who they're watching and they get to know who you are. So where did it all start from you, man? As far as like collecting and getting into this scene, where did it all start?
So it's like it started around in the late 80s, 88, 89. Like my brother and my homie Chuck. Chuck was a DJ. He had a setup, Serwin Vegas, like the whole 9 yards, man. He had a killer setup. And him and my brother, they're the same age. They're 4 years older than me, both of them. They met in school, in high school, and then they just started. They clicked through. Actually, they clicked through baseball cards first, like baseball, like just baseball in general. But they both collected cards and sports cards and stuff. And then Chuck was always playing music, so my brother started getting into. He was like, my brother was always into music. We both were always into music. So they started going to to record stores, or like earlier you and I were chatting before we started, and that you mentioned Tower Records, going to Tower Records and not seeing any records there. Well, when we were young, this was in late 80s, early 90s. They still had records at Tower Records. They had 45s, just a small little section, but they had a bigger LP, like all used stuff. They probably had some new stuff, but that's not where our heads were at. Um, yeah, so it's funny that you mentioned Tower Records, and I definitely was there when they still had 45s and LPs. But so they started really digging deep, man. They started going to there's a spot in Inglewood, or there used to be a spot in Inglewood called Golden Oldies, and they met a dude, a friend of ours, Juan Garcia, and he was introducing them to like a bunch of oldies and like East Side Stories and just like slightly more underground. Like when I say slightly, it's not underground anymore at all. It's like almost like more common knowledge stuff. But at the time it was a little bit more obscure. Trying to think, like Augustine Twins, the autographs that I was gonna do you in, and some like Archie Bell, but not like not like your everyday, not like Tighten Up and stuff like that. It was more a little bit more underground. Um, so they started going to shows, and I was like, I just want to get the fuck out the house because I used to like bump heads with my dad bad. Like I was walking on eggshells at home, and it wasn't fun. And I was just like, please, man, take me, teach me. Like I'll learn whatever you guys are looking for. I'll learn it. I'll learn it, and then I'll just hand you the records. I'm like, look, boom, boom, like here's the records, here's the records, and so I studied a lot even before I started digging. I was studying already, um, and then finally when I turned, they took me, and I was like out of the house, and it was a beautiful thing, man. So in my like I feel like music saved me right there. Like music, like it was my savior, man. Like it allowed me to focus on something other than the problems at home,
Mm.
um so from there, like we just were like, man, we were going as many places as we could, man. We caught the bug. Like even I caught the bug even though I hadn't even started buying records on my own. um we were going to Sound Stations, which actually is still a record store in Westchester, uh, just north of the airport of LAX. We were going to, I remember going to Bagatelle in Long Beach, back when this was still a store, Aaron's Records in Hollywood, A1 Record Finder. I'm trying to remember, like, I remember we even would go, we went to like Puba's in Pasadena. And this was before, like when Puba's now, I don't know if you've been there,
Mm.
but it's at a location, right? Like it's a building where there's a bunch of stores, right? But a long time ago, Puba's was in a little house converted into a record store. So
Oh,
like you would walk up to the porch, and that's where the front door was.
wow.
Um, we just, man, we went as many places as we could. Like uh, Record Surplus, when it before they moved to Santa Monica Boulevard. It used to be on Pico, and there was like the dollar section was upstairs, so we would always go to the dollar section, try to find some cool gems, and we did a lot, because in those days there wasn't that many soul collectors, man. I mean, we didn't have it to ourselves, but pretty much, man. Like, I mean, there was not a ton of people looking for soul, so it was just a beautiful thing, like, I mean, people would go, oh, hey, there's a box over there, like, when I first started going to PCC and to Buena Park, like people would point us to, like, oh, there's soul records there. I saw a box over there that says soul, and they were all looking for doo-wop. There were a bunch of older dudes. um I was by far the I mean, my brother and Chuck were 4 years younger, I mean, sorry, older than me, but I was like 13, man.
Wow.
I was a kid. Everybody, like, the majority of people, I mean, there were some people around my brother's age, a few years older, like, 3 4 years older than him and Chuck. But a lot of the dudes were in their 30s and 40s, even 50s. It was just like an older crowd,
Yeah.
and so to me, I'm like, I gravitated towards the older dudes that were cool, because not everybody was willing to share information, man. So like I
Mm.
would go to the dudes who were willing to, when as I'm digging, like, what's this? What's this? What's this? Like, I mean, I had a 1,001 questions, and certain people had 1,001 answers for me, and other people were like, get lost, kid, like you're bugging me.
Yeah.
You know?
Um,
So
well, there's a
that was
lot.
my start.
Yeah, so there's a lot of digging going on between like all of you. Obviously, you're helping them kind of find some of the records that they're looking for. You're finding records, I'm sure, for yourself, and then Chuck also you're probably helping him as well. I mean, was there like a major payoff for this? Like, was there like a party that hey, we're gonna like get a bunch of cool records, go throw a gig, go throw a party? Was there like a huge payoff for all this work?
No,
That's what,
it
that's
was
what's
just for
crazy.
us, man.
That's
It
what's
was just
crazy to
for
me.
us.
That's what's crazy to me is that like, okay, like I'll sit in my room and like I'll, find songs, edit songs, because I know at the end of the day, like I'm gonna go throw a show, I'm like, all right, like I'm gonna get, somebody on the dance floor, like it's gonna be a whole, extravaganza. But you guys
Yeah,
are just really just doing this like for the fun and just the collection, like, and
yeah,
you brought up something to me that I think is like super with the bug, like people get, I've noticed, throughout the scene that there are people that get this bug, and I actually got it not too long ago because I didn't really collect vinyl, but now I am now.
yeah,
Um, but you were kind of talking about like how like you open up a pack of baseball cards and you're kind of going through and you're like there's like this excitement of what could be in this pack, as
yeah,
in like what could be in this bin, like this bargain bin, like what gem can I find, and going through the record one by one I may find that gem. So can you talk about like that I guess
yeah.
that rush, or like, or what you go through to like what you're going through as you go through a bin?
First of all, I get excited as hell, man, when I'm about to start digging. Like I literally, like I know my blood pressure goes up because most of the time I start sweating a little bit. Start like I feel it, and man, when I really start sweating when I'm digging, because like I get excited, man. I don't know what you can find anything. Like you could find a record you've been looking for 10 years. Like I mean, obviously, when we first started, it was just all exciting because everything was new.
Right.
So it was just like, I mean, I still, man, even back then, I was like fucking dripping, dude, like dripping sweat, man, because I would just be like excited, like, ah, like what are we gonna find today? Like I hated missing shows, man. Like it just was like, what did I miss? Until man, I don't remember what year I finally was like, you know what? And I was pretty young. I think I was like 15 or 16. And I was like, you know what? I have to mellow out, man, because it's like, what did I miss? Like I'm not missing anything, because maybe I'm at a party, with homies and it's like, you know what? I had a good time, but honestly, like when I'm digging, man, um, I got off on a tangent right there, but when I'm digging, for me, it's just like, even kind of like peeking, like real, I could see some of the labels and I'm like, oh man, I hope it's the one that I've been looking for. Like there's one that I found, and then I sold it, and then I wanted to find it again. So it's like, this is more recently, but like Darius on chart maker. So like whenever I see the chart maker label, I already know exactly what it looks like, even if it's just showing like a little bit of the label, and I'm like, oh man, what, I need it to be Darius, because I've been looking for that one for a while.
Yeah.
And like it just is exciting, man. Like it's the thrill of the hunt for me, like it's like I had told you, with baseball cards, it's like when you're opening the pack, you're like, we used to do a real slow, man, because because we didn't have a lot of money, so we
Yeah.
were buying a couple packs at a time. So we would do real slow and like tease ourselves, like, is this the one that we're looking for? So but once you're when you start collecting records, man, like you're trying to go through stuff fast because you want to beat everybody.
Yeah, yeah,
To be
yeah.
honest, like you wanna get to the next box because like you want to try to find the stuff that you're looking for.
Yeah, and
But
I wanna talk a little bit too about the patience, right? Because for myself, I've been to some record shops that have, the soul, and I know a lot of people that collect 45s, and for me personally, like, I cannot go through a bin of 45s. It just doesn't do anything for me, like, that's just not my shit, like, it's too tedious, like, you're talking about labels, you're talking about one fucking song,
yeah,
like, I just can't get into it. It's just not my thing. Maybe if it was like the music that I really craved, then I knew, hey, this is a box full of like 90s R&B, 45s. Maybe I'd get excited, but it doesn't really do anything for me. But I want to take it back to, just that process before, like the process of back then was, you had a magazine you were talking about
Yeah.
that had some of these these records that you guys were looking for, and then that process of, okay, I want to send in a bid. I mean, let's talk about that because that's a big one. Things have changed, right? We have
Uh,
now where we have Discogs where I can go on right now. I hear a song on the radio, I go to Discogs, bam, I push a couple buttons, and the thing's there to me in 2 days. I got eBay. If it ain't on Discogs, I might have somebody that's on eBay that can, again, push a couple buttons. The record's mine. I'm paying crazy amounts of money for these records, and we'll get into that. But what was like the process if you really wanted that record? What was that process like through the magazines and the postcards? Can you talk about that?
yeah, absolutely. Let me just touch on what you were talking about with your patience with 45s.
Yeah.
That's me with LPs.
Yeah, yeah. See, I'm a big LP guy, man. I love LPs. You know why I love it?
Uh,
This is why I love LPs. I love LPs because one, you get a few. I had a rule growing up. Like if I was gonna buy a CD, because I had no money, so if I were to buy a CD, there better be at least two bangers. That was my rule. You gotta have two bangers on there, and maybe I'll get lucky and maybe I'll find something else. But on the radio, I listen to the radio. Like if Tupac came out, I'm like, all right, California Loves Out, and then he's got like Hit 'Em Up or something. I'm like, all right, that's two. I'm going right to Tower Records. I'm buying the fucking record. But the other thing is, like, when I play live, when I play on the vinyl, it's like, okay, you already heard me play that song, so I'm gonna play this song next on the next set. So I could kind of switch it up. But 45s, it's like, fuck, I need to like save up, and it's expensive now. If
yeah,
45s were only like $5, oh yeah, I would probably definitely be on the 45s, but
yeah.
it's so expensive. But yeah, like, yeah, it's everyone hates on the LPs. I know you're one of them.
I just had to touch on it because you brought
Yeah.
it up, but I wasn't gonna say anything about LPs, but you brought it up, so I had to.
Nah,
Um,
yeah. I mean, people hate on the LP, especially I know in the soul scene. Like, if you show up with an LP at a soul scene, you're probably gonna get jumped, or you're definitely gonna be questioned for sure.
I mean, there's people who do. They take them. Everybody's different, man. Like some people are a little bit more hardcore and like
Yeah,
almost bring a little bit of gangsterism to
yeah, yeah. We'll
to,
get we'll
to
get into that. That's coming up. So anybody that's watching, that's coming up. But
but
take me back to the
but
postcard and the
yeah,
magazines
so
and all this, because
so
I want to give people an idea of like
yeah,
what you're going through at this
yeah,
point in time to get a record.
yeah. So there was two magazines at the time. There was Discoveries and there was Goldmine. And the funny thing was because my brother and Chuck were, I mean, they were in competition for getting, the records. Like each one wanted, even if they're going for the same record, one wants to get it first, of course. So um so their rule was, um my brother was Discoveries, Chuck was Goldmine. So what it was is there's set sale lists on inside of the magazine. So vendors all over the country would put a list and say, I have, let's say they had 100 records for sale, and it's like, they would number them. One was whatever, Irma Thomas. Number two was, whatever. Like it does, like, just the list. You go through the list, and there was set sale, so you can buy it outright, or there was auction. And what the auction was, so let's just, to make it easy, it's like, you know January 1st, the new magazine comes out. It has all the thing. What you do is, some of them had a phone number where you could call. Some of the vendors had a number where you could call and place your bid. And you would just say, like eBay, like you would say, my top bid is $22.15. and the guy would say, "All right, cool. You're this is the record you want, 22.15. You have to wait until January 31st, or actually the 1st of February, for the guy to tell you if you won the record.
Wow.
You know, if they had your number. If not, they would send you a postcard telling you, okay, you won. This is your top bid was 22 with 15 cents, but you won it for $18 or whatever, you know. So the process was, if they didn't have a phone number, you would send in a postcard with your top bid. And so you send it off. The end of the month comes, the vendor figures out, okay, who was the top bidder on that record,
Yeah.
sends you the postcard back saying you won. Please send me a money order. No checks. Like, nobody was accepting checks because checks bounce, potentially. So it's like, send a money order, and so you send the money order. It takes a while to get to them. Then they send you your record, and the process usually took about 2 months to get one record,
Damn.
because it was basically eBay, but instead of like a 5 or a 7 day, or I think they also have 10 day auctions. It's a 30-day auction, or between
Yeah.
28 days to 31 days auction,
Yeah.
depending on the month. So the process was 2 months, man, before you get, you're sitting there like, like people now will, like 2 days after they order, they're like, "Hey, what's my tracking number? Like, I haven't got my record yet." And you're just like, "Dude, I sent it 2 days ago." Like, it might take 3 or 4 days, But imagine the patience that it took to, 2 months, man, two
Yeah.
months process.
Yeah, and I want to go back too because I remember like growing up, and obviously you're a little bit older than me. But a lot of these songs, like, how would you hear them? Because I mean, obviously they weren't on the radio.
Mhm.
Uh, I mean, you're looking at this magazine with hundreds of different, songs, but how are you hearing them? Are you just hearing them and then like, okay, I heard this one in the rec? Well, obviously, I don't know. You tell me, how did you hear these songs, and how did you like? Did you guess? Like, okay, this is a
A
cool
lot of
video?
a lot of it was guessing, man. Like, so,
Wow.
let's say, um, the Whispers. Let's say the Whispers. We love the Whispers. So if we saw a title that we didn't know by the Whispers, we're like, "Fuck it, it's $5, or it's the bottom bid is 5. We'll do like 7 and see if we win it." I didn't. My brother and Chuck did. Um, the first records I actually bought were Set Sail. So I'm like, I bought 2 records from the same guy on the same day. That was my first records. But they would do like, you know, um, Lee Williams and the Symbols. Well, I know I like Lee Williams and the Symbols, but this is a different title I've never heard of. I'll just take a chance. There was no YouTube,
Yeah.
there was no. It was just like, we like this artist. We're gonna take a chance, and hopefully this song is as good as the one that we already know and already like.
Wow. Yeah, I mean that's like so foreign nowadays, and I talk to like, family, kids, that are in my family, and they're, they have it so easy, you know what I mean? Like everything's on a cell phone. It's really like they never heard of a telephone, never heard of like a rotary phone, like never heard of a payphone.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, like the game is like completely changed, from then to now. So I want to talk about, and this is always a sensitive subject when it comes to collecting, is so for someone that's about to get into collecting or thinking about collecting that may have come across this video, where would you start? Like, where would you start from, if you wanted to collect?
Wherever you like. I mean, there's no real answer. Like, I can tell you, oh, like, I can tell you my favorites, but what does that matter if that's not your style of music? So collect what you like. Like, collect what you like, man. Like, you know, to me, it's not about chasing what somebody tells you to do. I mean, we did that a lot, to be honest with you. Uh, but it was because we knew what the people were into. So like, like when we were young, there was no access to a lot of the music. So it was like we would hear other collectors talk about how killer this song was, and so we would be like, all right, well, let's put that on our list, and we would look for it. But if we found it digging, we would play it to make sure we liked it, because we had portable record players. But but for somebody starting now, it's like, just go with what you like, man. Like, because if you buy what you like, you're gonna want to keep it, and you're gonna want, you're gonna enjoy it, and you're gonna play it, and you're gonna share it, and like, that's the fun of it, man. That's the whole, like, to me, that's the fun of this,
Yeah.
you know.
I feel like there's, and I don't know. I'm never gonna like say anybody specific, and I don't know anybody that um like just off the top. I'm just kind of thinking of like there's some people that I see in the scene that do you really like this music, or is it really like, well, this guy's got it and he's the top collector, or a lot of people give him respect or give her respect for what she's collecting, and now I gotta get it. Like, do you see that like in the scene? And is it like, do I really like, am I really paying 3 grand for this record because I
Yeah.
like it, or is it because this guy's saying it's like the shit? You know what I mean?
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that, to be honest with you. But I will say, to me, it's like, if you're gonna invest in music like that, like, I would hope you like it. You know what I mean? I would hope you do, because that's a lot of money. Like, even if it's not 3 grand, even if it's $100,
Yeah.
that's a lot of money for one record, man. For
Yeah.
especially for a 45, 2 songs. It's a lot of money. Like, it's a lot of money for me. I rarely spend. I'm People trip out, dude. Like, the majority of the stuff that I buy is, but I dig though. I dig. So like from $1 to $10, that's the majority of what I buy.
Yeah. I see.
And
Yeah. Well, I've seen
what
I've
were you-
seen I've seen others just, we're spending 300, $600, $1,000 for 45, which is cool. I mean, everyone, I mean, if that's what it takes and that's what you love and that's what drives you, cool. I'm definitely cool with that. I guess
yeah,
I guess where I kind of sometimes get confused is like, is it really like, damn, you really got to have that record, bro? Because there's pros, like I said, like to me, there's collectors, and you know them, and I know them, and they're around, and I've interviewed some of them, and it's like, bro, you're on like another level. There's no record that you can buy. There's no collection that you can come up on, and they're not gonna like with their magic wand gonna be like, yo, you know what? You earned our respect because they've had this shit for years. Like they've
yeah,
had this music since they were kids, you know what I mean? And we're like, not me, but like, others that are coming up in the game that are new are trying to like keep up with the Joneses, if you will. And that's where I kind of get confused. It's like, bro, like that's their style, like that's their thing. The doo-wop,
yeah,
the soul D's, like the hardcore soul, the Chicano soul, like, and it's just it just kind of racks my brain, like, like that's like their shit, like you're
yeah.
biting your shit.
I'm To me, like, the people that I know, um, they really enjoy the music. The people that I know, that I don't know everybody though. I don't know everybody, and so I don't know if some people are doing it for the name, or the glory of, like, or trying to keep up. I have no idea. Like, to be honest with you, but the people I know, they're into it, man. They love the music, and they're willing to spend money. And I mean, I don't, I can't spend, five, 300, 400, 500, 800. I mean, I've done that one time ever, ever. But other than that, like, but it took me 30 years to get there, like, to be like, fuck, all right, I have to pay up for this, right? You know what I mean? Like, it took me forever.
What about the
You know,
bootlegs? What about, like, there's guys out there that, hate on bootlegs. What are your thoughts on, people spinning bootlegs? What's your feeling on that?
I have no problem with it, man. I really don't, because you know what, man. When I first started collecting, like it was, I love doo-wop, and when in 1990, when we were doing this into the mid 90s, even doo-wop was, oh my god, man. For the good stuff, for the stuff that we wanted, 100, 200, 300, 400, 800. I was never gonna buy a $800 record, like with a $5 a week. Like, my allowance was $5 a week, man. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
like, so I would find a, the bootleg, and I would buy the bootleg, and I had this $800 record, and nobody talked shit to me for it. They're just like, maybe one day you'll find the original.
Yeah.
Like they would like they were like, nobody was like, what are you doing? That's a bootleg. No respect, no respect. It wasn't like that at all, man. Like people encouraged, like, oh man, maybe one of these days you will find it, even maybe for $1.
Yeah.
Because I was finding like amazing records. Sometimes I was finding, I remember finding, what record was it? It's the first record on Cash Records, which is it's a doo-wop record. It's the Falcons. If it's not the first, it's the second record on the label. Probably like from 1955. I found it for $1, and
Wow.
this was like a $300 record. And so when I showed it to the guys, they were like, "Oh, see what I mean? Like, it's possible. It's possible to find it. Like, but when I didn't have, when I didn't run across an original, but I love the song, I'm gonna fucking pay $5 for a bootleg. Like, how can I knock somebody, a new collector right now, for buying a bootleg when I used to buy bootlegs? You know, I mean, that I'd be a hypocrite. Like I used to buy bootlegs, man. I mean, compilations. East Side Story. Those are bootlegs, man.
Mm.
Like I wasn't buying original. We couldn't afford originals, man. So like, why? What's the big deal? Because it's ultimately it's about the music. It, if you don't know, unless it's like a terrible quality, if somebody plays a record, you don't know if it's original or not.
Yeah.
If you're not staring at the label,
Yeah.
you just don't. Like you have no idea. But you know what? You like that song, you're gonna jam to it.
Yeah.
And I see nothing wrong with bootlegs, man. Like I really don't. I mean, I don't, as a personal, I don't buy them now,
Yeah.
but I don't knock people for doing it. Because again, like I said, I was there. When I was new, that's all I could afford, if for certain records.
Yeah, and the prices right now are, like, just crazy, like, they're just outrageous, even for something that's super common. I mean, it's just
Man,
the pricing is insane.
even prices for bootlegs right now is crazy.
Yeah, like,
Like brand new, they're like people are pressing them right now. And I mean, I don't knock it, man. It costs money to make them.
yeah,
Uh, but like 25, $30 for a bootleg.
yeah, like, I
You
mean,
know,
it's insane.
and
Mm,
and then they go up in price.
yeah,
Even the bootleg, which
right.
is a trip to me.
I wanna transition into, like, your first house party. I think that's a good story that you came across, and again, for anybody that knows Robert, better than I do, he ain't digging and doing all this for, like, the show, right? Like, again, like I talked about earlier, it's like,
Uh,
Guns and Buns is digging for, like, the show. He's digging for, like, to get people excited and, playing certain tracks to get people pumped. But you're just kinda doing this for your hobby, for your fun,
yeah.
from your heart. So you did do a show, 16 years old. Tell us about that show and, that turned
Well,
out.
it wasn't a show. It was a house party. It
House
was a
party,
house party. Yeah. So, all right. So, I used to like dig for funk and stuff. There was a little stretch where I was like looking for a lot of samples and stuff. Like I mentioned to you, stuff like Girl Calling, Chocolate Milk. Um, uh, you remember that song? I like the girls.
Yeah.
Girls, I like the girls.
I love
Fatback.
that. I love that song.
Um, love that song, man. Like
It's
stuff
so
like that.
raw. It's so
What's
raw.
that?
It's just like a raw song. Like,
Yeah, hell yeah, man. Like so, like stuff like that. Like so, I'm playing this stuff. It's a house party. Like people are having fun. People are drinking. I'm 16. I'm like rocking it, man. I'm playing like Tom Tom Club and like just like a lot of classic funk records. Um, and so I get like, man, I must have been playing. It was probably like 45 minutes or so, like solid, man, solid dance floor or makeshift dance floor is the living room, but
uh,
uh, you know, it's going, man. It's on, man. The party's happening. So I drop El Chicano, uh, Viva Tirado, and still party's going, man. And then I'm like running out of records, so the next one I put on was Kid Frost La Raza.
mm.
And then, at the time I was about 5 years old. Party stopped, dude. Like immediately they were like, "What the hell?" Like, man, I tried like hell to get the party going back. Like, nope, nothing, man. Like I was like, like I got all flustered, man. I was like, I killed the fucking party, man. Like literally, people went home, like
Wow.
left. It was over. The party was over, and I was just like, what the? So I was like, man, I'll never DJ again, man.
And this
And
is
that was my first DJ. Like gig is a loose term because it was a house party, but
yeah.
it was just like it was embarrassing as hell, man. And I was like, I don't want to ever go through that again.
Wow. And then so it was like what? Was it 16 years in between or what was it?
Yeah,
Six. Wow.
yeah.
And
So
oh man. I mean,
so
we've all had
16.
yeah, we've all had some like, I mean, as a DJ, man, I've had like my share of, good gigs and I've had like bad gigs and damn, like, I don't know, man. Like, that's crazy to have that big of a gap in between. Like, damn, that
Uh,
really hit you in the heart, you know?
oh man, it was devastating, dude. Like I was like, man, fuck that shit. I'm done. I'm never gonna DJ ever again. 16 years later, a friend of mine invites me to spin. In fact, I'm spinning with him on Saturday. Uh, uh, one Astro 138, and on Instagram he's 45 Astro 138. And he throws a thing at it's the Liquid Zoo. The name of the gig is called Wailing at the Go Go at the Liquid Zoo in Van Nuys.
Mm.
We're doing it Saturday. And so he invites me to spin at Mr. T's in Highland Park. And so I was like, man, I'm like pouring sweat, anxiety, like I'm all fucked up. I'm like, damn, man, I can't believe it. All right, yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it. So I went and, I started spinning and I had like three people on the dance floor and I had like eight DJs like all around the booth. They all wanted to know what the hell I was playing, man. They were like, "What's that? What's that? What's that?" And even though there was only three people on the dance floor, it felt real good. You know what I mean? Like to know that I was able to play stuff that was of interest to people.
Yeah.
So it re-sparked. It gave me the spark, and I picked up gigs here and there, not a lot, man. Like it was just every once in a while somebody would ask me to spin, and so that's just where that was. I think 2011 or so,
Wow.
something like that. Yeah,
I think that's big because, like I said, like for me, like, if I dig a song and, find it on YouTube because I'm a YouTube digger, right? I don't
Mhm.
care who knows. Sometimes I'll find tracks and I'm like, man, I'll play it. But you don't really realize how good that song is until you see other people's reaction. And it's like, how the fuck do they even know this song? Or maybe they're just feeling it, you know? And then, especially for like a DJs to come around and acknowledge what you're playing, I think that's a big one because those
Yeah,
guys are usually digging. They're usually trying to find like the hottest tracks. And if you're impressing those guys, then you're doing something right. And that's why I'm super excited for, Sunday, man, to see what you got, what you're going to throw down. I don't really know too much Chicano soul. I mean, I know the basics, right? Like I think everyone knows the Santanas, the Malo, freaking, just the real basic stuff. El Chicano. Um, that's about as far as it goes for me. So I'm excited to hear like what you're gonna throw down. And we've been having, like I said, pretty nice turnouts, big turnouts
Yeah.
coming to Boogie Down Sunday. So we're gonna have a mixture of music, but you're gonna headline it. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what you're gonna be throwing down there.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited because I don't get asked to spin Chicano soul very often, Latin soul.
Hmm.
So it's nice, because I that's the stuff. Like even when I was younger, like when I started to sell records,
Hmm.
I always kept my Latin and Chicano soul records. It's so rare for me to have sold them. I did sell some of the Midnighter stuff because the Midnighter stuff, it's around in LA. Like you find it every once in a while. So I was like okay with letting go of some of those, but nowadays I keep all that stuff, because it's just so good, man. I love the Midnighters, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it because, like I said, I don't get to spin it very often.
Yeah, so
You
I'm
know?
looking forward to it. Now, you had mentioned that the 50s and 60s, that's like your bread and butter. That's like your
Mhm.
wheelhouse as far as what you collect probably the most and what you're looking for, right?
Yeah.
What's so special about that music that just gets your juices flowing, I guess, to get that type of music?
Ah, man, I don't know, man. It just really hits, man. Like it's so to me, it's so gritty. I mean, there is some like pop stuff and like some cool like. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like the classics too, like you know, um, like sincerely and good night, sweetheart, and stuff like that. Earth Angel. Yeah, I like that stuff, but to me, like the more a little bit more underground stuff, the stuff that was just so damn gritty, and like what I love about 50s and 60s, it's like it just man, it just feels like they're pouring their damn heart out. Like it's just they're they're just like they're in it, man. They're telling you how they felt when they were going through the story of the song that they wrote, and it's just there's nothing like it, man. Like I mean, it just feels super what's the word? Just feels authentic, you know what I mean? Like it just feels like, man, like they live that shit, you know what I mean? They
Yeah.
lived it, that's what it is for me, man.
Yeah, I like your take what you're talking about on the rawness because like we talked about like the 70s soul, like it's good, like it's really polished, it's really good. And I think like the technology like in the 50s and the 60s was still kind of being created, so there's a lot of rawness. There's a lot of people trying to like do it on their own. And when the 70s kind of kicked in, it was like, all right, now we kind of figured out the formula. Through the 50s and 60s, we kind of figured out like what like the board needs to be like as far as like the levels and the right mics and the technology is getting better and we're gonna bring in the guy that plays the sax like fucking perfect. Where instead, like on some of these 50, 60 songs, it's like, well, this guy plays the sax, but like he's alright, but like we don't know anybody else. We're not
Yeah.
really hiring him. He's just he plays like on the court on this fucking street corner. Now we're gonna have him come in the studio. So I think that's like to me too. Like I've always thought like oldies like growing up, there was like this like this cuteness to it. You know what I mean? Like the lyrics are always kind of like a little cheesy, but it's but yeah, they are pouring from their heart. But it's like has like this kind of like hokiness to it, and the more hokey it just seems like the better. Like the more rawness it is, it just seems like it's the better. Where once it's like beyond the 70s, I feel like it's really awesome, but it just doesn't have like that grit, like you're saying, like that rawness, I
Yeah.
think you're
And there's no knock to the 70s because there is some gritty stuff from the
oh
70s too,
yeah.
but it just became a lot more popular, like it just like disco. And I mean I like disco,
Hmm.
I'm not knocking it at all.
Yeah.
uh it just is, it's definitely more polished for sure.
Yeah.
And it was, again, I like that kind of stuff. I mean, I just told you that like the kind of stuff I was listening to. That even that stuff, that '80s funk. That stuff's a lot of it's polished. Not all of it's super gritty.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know, man. Like I just really like '60s soul, especially. But
Hmm.
I love doo wop and I love R&B. Probably like I would say like 52 to 67. Those are the years for me. Like I don't know. It just does it for me, man. Like that's if I could just listen to that era, like I would be happy. But I do listen to stuff outside of that. You know what I mean? Like I'm not. I don't like to pigeonhole myself too. Like
Yeah.
and I listen to rockabilly and surf and garage and um I even like some country, man. Like there's some really good country. It's like a lot of really gritty stuff, man.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I like novelty records, which people probably wouldn't know that. Like that, like joke records. Like they're just straight. Like it's just people clowning. Like it's just like making fun of this or that or whatever. I love those kind of records, man.
Yeah.
Because they're fun. Like they make me laugh.
Yeah, no, I'm a big, I love rock. I grew up, my father was a big like hippie, like, he grew up with like the classic rock. And that's like, I mean, I've always been a big rock fan before anything. Um, and that's why me and Mike been trying to get together, man. Maybe we could, I know you have the surf music and I like that music too. Like, I don't know too much of it, but when I do hear surf music, like, it's like a cool vibe, like, it's like, you can just kind of chill out and listen to that. But I don't know, man, I'm trying to get a show with him on his show, on the fire station. We're trying to do like a classic rock, but we just can never, I don't know, I either got COVID or he's got COVID or someone's got COVID. We can't
Yeah.
ever get it done, but maybe
You,
it'd be
you mean
cool to have you.
Noriega?
Yeah, yeah, Noriega.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So yeah, man, just looking forward to this Sunday, man. Like, I just want to talk about that, man. Boogie Down Sunday, like, it's just been crazy. Like, we've only done like two, or this is gonna be like our third one, but there's been like videos out. People have been posting videos. I think that's gonna get really go viral. Probably this weekend because yeah, man, Bandini made, man. This guy's on it. Like he's putting together the show. We got vendors coming in for like all your Christmas shopping and stuff. You get kind of like a head start there. So I'm gonna be spinning records. We got Darko, we got yourself, we got who else? We got Bandini playing. We have Psycho playing, and
KB Cave.
KVK's gonna be playing, doing his thing. And so yeah, man, it's just really exciting for like the people to come in and just kind of we're trying to do like a different feel like every show, kind of have like a special guest like yourself come in and do their thing and see how it all plays out. But these last ones have just been really cool, man, and everyone's like had a really good vibe, like with the music, and like everyone's like, man, like you were playing this, but then this guy's playing this, and it's like, I love this music, because that's what it really is coming down to. Like at the end of the day, like we're all music fans, and it's
Yeah.
cool, like that our crowd is like diverse like that, that they could jam out to some soul, they could jam out to some funk, some '90s, some hip hop. It's like it's really cool that it can mix like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I actually I didn't go to last week's, but I went to 2 weeks ago. Which might have been the first one. I don't remember,
Maybe.
but but uh but I know I got my dance on though. It's funny because like I love funk and boogie stuff to dance to. Like I mean, I'm probably more comfortable dancing to that than most stuff. To
Yeah.
be honest with you. Yeah, I mean it's a good time, man. Like and then I spun my gays about a month ago or a
Okay.
month and a half ago. Yeah, something like that.
Nice.
So it's gonna be nice to get back over there, man. I like that place.
Yeah, it's a really good place. Cool stage, got lighting now. They added a bunch of lights, so like just cracks, man. I want to get into like the last subject here with you, which was you sell records. This is something that you learned. I think 18 years old. You had mentioned like a light hit for you. So can you talk about that light hitting your head like with the
Yeah.
records at 18?
Yeah. So I remember I went to a show, and like it was at Buena Park at the Sequoia yeah, Buena Park. And so it's a health club now. It's a Target. It's right there, basically the corner of Orange Thorpe and Beach Boulevard. So anyway, so I walk in. There's a box like immediately in front of me. I start digging. I buy two records, and I walk maybe 20 feet, and actually Noriega was right there, and he was like, "Oh, what'd you find?" He's like, "You just got here." I'm like, "Yeah, I just got here. I bought two records." I showed him the two records, and he was like, "I'll give you $80 for this." And I was like, boom, like the light bulb went off, because it was like I had just paid $4 for it, and I'm like, I owned the record for like a minute. You know what I mean? Like I was like, all right, yeah, and the light bulb went off, and I was like, I might be able to do this for a living, at some point, like it didn't, it wasn't like a thing right away that like like, but it was just like, wow, you know what, this might be possible. um and then that was in 95, and then in 99, somebody introduced me to eBay, and I checked it out. I was like, what the heck is this, man? I was like, there's a bunch of records for sale. And so I I started an eBay account, and I started selling on eBay. Um, and yeah, it was like a couple years later, I quit my job, and started selling records full time.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah, and
yeah, that was 2001. I quit my job.
wow. I mean, that's and again, like I think that's really cool that you can do something that you love. Like you love digging, you love finding records and
Yeah.
being able to sell them and to people. And you mentioned something in the conversation that I thought that I didn't really think about before was like you sell records to people, right? Like let's say like
Hmm.
myself, and then I go out and spin it, and that record is heard by others. It's like how many people like have you touched? You know what I mean? As far as with the music, I can't even imagine like how many
Yeah.
records you sold where people have spun them and got love, a pat on the back, like, hey, that was cool that you spent that money and you got that cool record, but what is that, And
Yeah.
you basically you're like the one that started the ball, rolling right there for a lot of people, I'm sure.
It's I trip out, because it's like when, man, we're a lot more powerful than we think, to be honest with you. Like just in sharing our passion for what we do. Like you put together this show, and you're touching more people and inspiring more people than you could ever even know, man. Like you just are. Like
Thank
whether you know it or not, or whether you've ever even thought about it or not. And it's the same with me. It's like, you know, I sell a record to a guy, and like you mentioned, he plays it, and or she plays it, and who knows how many people were at that place and
you.
are now, out looking for, even if they're not record collectors, but they became a fan of that song. And it's just, and then they start looking for other stuff that sounds like that. And you just never know, like. And the ripple effect is real, man. Like it really, like what we do, man, affects that. It affects the world
Yeah.
in a positive way. It really does, man. And I mean, the amazing ones to me are like when I have customers, that I've known for years, and they're like, man, half my DJ box, like when I go out to spin, it's like records I got from you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, that's amazing to me. Like it just is, you know, it's bigger than just the money that I get for the record. You know what I mean? It's like this music is moving forward. It's being shared and shared and shared and shared, and it moves people.
Yeah. And I'll say, just like as a person that just enjoys music and enjoys, DJs or spinners playing sets, like there really is no feeling like hearing a song for the first time
Mhm.
and then like learning about it, hearing it, seeing the crowd react to it, and then like just being like, "Fuck, I want that song too," like, or maybe like this will help my set, this
Yeah.
this song could be like the crown jewel of my next set. So that's really
Yeah.
cool, man. I never really had thought about it like that, so you had brought that up, but I think that would be cool. Like it was cool, like that you shared that with the audience here.
Yeah.
Um, so let everybody know where they could find you. I know you're still slanging the records, still doing it. And where can people locate you and get some records from you? Because I always see that you're always posting up records
Yeah.
and where can they find you?
So Instagram is Wanted Records. So at Wanted Records. Um, there's a link on there, wanted-records.com. That's my website. But I also sell on that's my personal website. And then I also have Discogs, but I can't remember if it's Records Wanted on Discogs. I can't remember what it is, but um, if you look for you know, the Ray Charles, if you look for that little Ray Charles face in every record, or oh no, not on Discogs, you can't really see it like that. But on my personal, like where you click on the page, it'll have that. It'll have the little Ray Charles. And then on eBay, everything I sell is that one's Wanted Records LA on eBay. Um, Wanted Records LA. Um, but I don't mind people, because I even have my phone number on my website. Like people hit me up, like people call me sometimes, text me, or you could email me. My email's on there. Instagram, instant message me, whatever. Like, if you want to get in touch, you can get in touch with me.
Yeah.
And like I also, like, sometimes people will ask questions, and I don't mind helping people out, because I know what it was like when I was a youngster. And like, I want to give back, and so, like, if people have questions, I'll do my best to answer it. I'll always try to take the time out to be able to share what, my knowledge. And um I do my best to help as many people as I can, just because, like I said, this information was given to me freely, man. And so I don't mind sharing it, like what I know.
No, that's a really good thing because there are, and I'm not speaking for everybody, but there are some out there that just don't want to give up that knowledge, and or maybe just don't feel like it or don't have it, and you do. So that's good that you're willing to do that. I do want to cover one last thing, which was the Ray Charles, because when
Mm,
I seen it like a while back. I seen it like maybe like a year ago, and I was
mm,
like, "Is that Ray Charles with like some headphones on, or like what? Like
yeah.
what is this like?" So how did that logo come about, and how is it spread throughout the world?
Okay, so so what ended up happening is, my brother, when I first started Warner Records, he was like, I was like, man, I need a logo. I have no idea what to do. And he told me he had an idea. And so um he told me after the fact, but he had a kid. My brother's a teacher. He's a math teacher, and so he had a kid who would draw, like, all day in his class. He just wouldn't. He wasn't doing schoolwork, so he would draw. And my brother caught him drawing a girl, and like he was like selling the drawings to some of the kids. To so my brother's like, all right, well, I want you to draw something for me. So my brother gave him a Ray Charles picture, and then he's like, but draw him with headphones. So the kid drew it and brought it back the next day. And my brother's like, okay, how much do I owe you? Because I want you to get paid for your time. And the kid's like, I don't even like it, man. It's like, just give me like $20. So my brother's like, well, how long did it take you? Because my brother, being a math teacher, he wanted to teach him the lesson. And he's like, hey, if he's not going to pay attention in class, I might as well try to teach him, the value of his time, and the potential of becoming an artist if he wants to. Maybe school isn't for this kid.
Mhm.
So he's like, what, how can I teach him? So the kid's like, $20. It took me like 3 or 4 hours. Like, and my brother's like, so your time is worth $5 an hour. He's like, I don't even like it.
Mhm.
So my brother, like, he wouldn't take more. And so my brother gives him $20. And um he lost touch with the kid, like we, because I wanted to give him more money, because what ended up happening is I used to work at a advertising agency, and I knew my friend who Vince Murray. he did he cleaned it up. And so before, there was a 33 and a 45 in each, in one in each headphone,
Uh,
and so he blacked it out, and it just made it look a lot cleaner. He tightened it up a little bit, because he's an art director, like that's what he does. So he tightened up the image, and I put that image on every record that I post. So I see people posting that image all over the world, man. Like people actually take it, and I've seen them use like my images to do their YouTube posts sometimes, which I think is hilarious. I'm like, whatever, man. I don't care. Like, it doesn't bother me at all that people use the image. I mean, it's free advertising for me. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Because
yeah,
people recognize it. People recognize it, and little does this kid know, like the image that he drew, is all over the world now, man.
yeah,
So and back, that kind of goes back to what I was telling you, like the impact that we have no idea how powerful we really are, man. That kid has no idea.
has no idea. That's crazy, man. That's a
Yeah.
really cool story. And yeah, I mean, like I said, I came across the logo maybe like a year ago. You had came up in a conversation, and I started following the page, and I was like, that's interesting. Like, I wonder, like, is it Ray Charles? Like, what? And then it's like I seen it with every post, so it's like ingrained in my head now. So, you know what I mean? As
Yeah.
as your logo. So,
Yeah.
man,
I,
I'm really good.
I've had people, I was just going to say, I've had people go, is that you? And I'm like, nah, that's Ray Charles, man.
Awesome. Yeah, man. But let's wrap this up, man. So again, Boogie Down Sunday. I'm gonna put all your links in there so people could follow, buy some records off you. Look forward to meeting you in person and hearing the set. Again, Chicano Soul. You're gonna spin a Chicano Soul set. We got a lot of mixture of music on Boogie Down Sunday. So definitely, if you guys are in the town at McGay's, in LA at McGay's, we'll be there rocking it from about 3 to 10. And get your boogie on, man. We'll see you there.
Yeah. Thank you for inviting me again. I appreciate it.
No, man, I really appreciate what you do, and I appreciate talking to you, and thank you for coming on. So we will see you guys soon. Peace out.
Peace.